Hi students, this is Lesson 14, Session 3, Dividing with Estimation and Area Models. You should be on page 301 in your math book, and you need a pencil so that way you can write the things that I am writing. All right, number 1 here. There are 232 people waiting in line for an amusement park ride. Each car on the ride will be filled with 5 people. How many cars are needed to hold all the people waiting in line? You can get your index card with your questions for solving word problems out, and that will really help you on this. Here is mine. Number 1. What is this problem about? Well, this is about some people who are in line at an amusement park. What information is important? It's important to know that there's 232 people waiting in line, and it's also important to know that each car on the roller coaster holds 5 people. What am I trying to find out? I am trying to find out how many cars will be needed to hold all the people who are waiting in line for the roller coaster. Can I draw a model to help me solve this problem? Yes, I can. So I am going to use the area model to solve this one. So I'm going to make my chart here. I'm going to start with 5 over here because there's 5 people in each car. And then I know from knowing multiplication that 5 times 20 is 100. And there's 230 people, so I know that 100 is less than 232. So I'm going to do 232 minus 100, and we've got 2, 3, and 1. Well, 100 is also less than this, so I'm going to multiply by 20 again. 5 times 20 equals 100. So I'm going to do 132 minus 100, and that leaves me with 32 people, but 100 is bigger than 32, so now I'm going to have to use what I know about multiplication to be able to finish solving this. So I'm going to count by 5s until I get to the number closest to 32. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So 6. 5 times 6 equals 30. So 32 minus 30, and that leaves me with 2 left over. But I can't take 5 out of 2. I can't do 5 times anything to get 2. So I'm going to do 20 plus 6, which equals 46, but then I have 2 left over. So it's 46 remainder 2. So that is one way to solve it. So if I have 232 people, am I going to be able to put all of them in 46 cars on the roller coaster? No, because there's going to be 2 people that don't fit in the 46. So I'm actually going to need 47 cars. This is what we call interpreting remainders. Anytime you have a remainder in a division problem, you have to decide if you are going to need a number, like a next number up, in order to help make those people fit. In this case, I do, because if I only had 46 cars on the roller coaster or on the ride, then I would have 2 people that are not going to get to ride. So in order to make sure that they are able to ride too, I'm going to need a whole nother car, roller coaster car, to be able to make sure that they can ride. So that's what it means by interpreting remainders. Sometimes, but not very often, you don't need to go up to that next, and you would just need 46, and the other 2 people wouldn't get to ride. But in this case, they want to make sure that everyone is riding. So to interpret my remainder correctly, I'm going to have to do 47. So the answer to this problem is not technically 46 remainder 2. That's what I get when I divide. My answer would be 47 because I'm going to need 47 cars for all of those people to ride. But not always are they going to want you to do that. Let's go ahead and move on to page 302. All right, on 302, our first example here is a model it example. So on our model it shows us a chart here, and our chart tells us that if we have 10 roller coaster cars, then 50 people will fit in them because 5 people fit in each car. So 5 times 1 is 5, so if we have 5 times 10, it would be 50. If we have 20 cars, it would be 100 because 20 times 5 is 100. If we have 30 times 5, it would be 150. So if we keep going, if you can see a pattern here, we're increasing by 50 every single time we increase the number of cars by 10. So if we have 250 people, we're going to need 50 cars. Because each time, and if we do times 5 and times 5, that would be 250 or 200 here. Our other example here is another model it example. On this model it example, they used an area model, except for since they knew this, 40 times 5, instead of starting like we did with 20, they went ahead and started with 40. So 40 times 5 is 200. 232 minus 200 is 32. And they've got 32 left here, so 5 times 6 is 30, so there's 2 left over. And then down here they're using multiplication to check their answer, using what would be an area model, because this would be the answer to that area model. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at page 303. At the top here, let me zoom in a little bit so we can see it better. Okay. All right, so it says, in the first model, why do you multiply 5 by multiples of 10? Well, you do that because you want to find a product. You want to find a product close to 232. Look at the second model. How can you find the number of cars that are each filled with 5 people? Well, if you add, on this one, if you add 40 plus 6, then you get 46. Number 3, what does the remainder mean? Ooh, that's where it's asking about interpreting remainders. What does the remainder mean in this problem? Well, in this problem, it means that there are 2 people that need their own car. So how many cars are needed to hold all the people waiting in line? And then explain your answer. So you need 47 cars. And the reason is because you will have 46 cars with 5 people plus 1 car with 2 people, because it's that remainder 2. How can you break apart a division problem with an area model in order to solve the problem? Well, you can use multiplication and subtraction, just like they did here. And then you're going to skip number 6. And we're going to go to page 304. Here. All right, on page 304, we have a word problem. A store orders 315 hats. The hats are shipped in boxes of 8. How many boxes are needed to ship all of the hats? First, find which two multiples of 10 the quotient is between. Then find the quotient using an area model. Show your work. So, right here we're going to fill in the number of boxes, and it says to use a multiple of 10. So that means 10 is going to go in our first box, and then we're going to keep going. 10, 20, 30, 40. So then I find the number of hats because it says hats are shipped in boxes of 8. So to get this number, I'm going to do 10 times 8, which is 80. And then I'm going to do 20 times 8. Well, 8 times 2 is 16. Add my 0. Then I'm going to do 30 times 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Add my 0. And then I'm going to do 40 times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. Add my 0. So if we're needing 315 hats, I can see here that 320 is more. So my number that I get from my answer is going to be less than 40, but 240 is less, so it's going to be more than 30. So it's going to be between 30 and 40. And that's where my answer is going to be. So if your answer is not between 30 and 40, you know that you did this problem wrong. So I'm going to start by doing my area model with 30 since I know that it's bigger than that. So I'm going to put my 8 over here on the side and my 30 up here. And then my number, 315, is going to go in the box. When I do 8 times 30, 8 times 3 is 24, and I add my 0. So now I'm going to subtract that and see what I get. 5 minus 0 is 5. 1 minus 4 I cannot do, so it's going to become a 2. That's going to become 11. 11 minus 4 is 8. Nope, I'm sorry, it's 7. And then 2 minus 2 is 0. So I have 75 left over. So I'm going to move this 75 over here. And I can see that 10 is bigger than 75 because it's 80 hats. So that means I need to count by my 8s. I need to skip count until I get to the number that is closest to 75. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 50, 48, 56, sorry. And then 64, still keep going. After 64, it's 72. And then after 72, it is 80. But I don't want to go to 80, so it's 9 times. So 8 times 9, and I add those. 8 times 9 is 72. And I subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3 left over. Am I going to need another box for this 3? Yes, I am. So first I add 30 plus 9, which is 39. But then I'm going to have one box that's going to have 3 hats instead of 8 hats. So it's going to be 40. So I need 40 boxes because 39 have 8 hats. One box has 3 hats. Okay, number 8. What is 174 divided by 3? Use multiplication to check your answer. So, I can make a chart like this to start. And I can do 10 times 3 is 30. 20 times 3 is 60. 30 times 3 is 90. 40 times 3 is 120. I can keep going. 50 times 3 is 150. 60 times 3 is 180. But 180 is bigger than the 174. So I know my answer is going to be between 50 and 60. So I'm going to start with 50 for my area model. So I'm going to put my 3 over here and my 50 on top. 3 times 50 is 150. So I need to take 174 minus 150 and see what I get. 4 minus 0 is 4, 7 minus 5 is 2, and then 0. Now I'm going to take my 24 over here, and I'm going to skip count by 3s until I get to 24. 3, 6, 9, 12, 27. Oh, that's too big. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. So it's 8. So 3 times 8 is 24, and there's 0 left over, so my answer is 58. So 174 divided by 3 equals 58. Our last one on this page. Find 456 divided by 6. Show your work. Wow, 456 is quite a big number. So I'm going to start by making a long chart. And I know that if I do 10 times 6, it is 60. So 20 is 120. 30 is 180. 40 is 240. 50 is 300. 60 is 360. 70 is 420. 80 is 480, and that's bigger than our number. So my answer is going to be between 70 and 80. So I'm going to start with 70 here. Put my 6 on the side, and I'm going to multiply it times 70. 6 times 7 is 42, and add my 0. I'm going to subtract that from 456. 6 minus 0 is 6. 5 minus 2 is 3. So now I have 36 left. So I'm going to count by 6s to see how I can get to 36. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. So my answer is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 0. And so my answer is 76. So 456 divided by 6 equals 76. Now we're going to move on to page 305. Okay. On 305, they've already given us the table up here. It says the table lists all the products of 7 and multiples of 10. Use the table to help estimate the quotient of 253 divided by 7. So we want the number that's going to be smaller and bigger than this number. Well, 70 is smaller, 140 is smaller, 210 is smaller. Oh, 280 is bigger. So it's going to be between these two numbers. The quotient is between 30 and 40. So use the estimate in problem 1 to help you find the quotient of 253 divided by 7. Complete the area model to solve the problem. So it shows me here I already have 7 times 30. 7 times 3 is 21, and I add my 0. They show me 253 because that's what I start with. So I subtract 210 from 253, and I get 343 there. So I'm going to move 43 right here, and I'm going to count by 7s until I see what is closest to 43. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, and that's just one less. So 7 times 6 is 42. Then I move my 42 below. 43 minus 42 means there's 1 left over. So my answer is 36, remainder 1. So down here, 253 divided by 7 equals 36, remainder 1. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to page 306. at the top, it says, explain how to check whether the answer to the division problem below is correct. 134 divided by 5 equals 26, remainder 4. Well, we can check if our answer is correct by using multiplication. So you can do 26 times 5, which equals 130. And then you add the remainder, because the remainder is just what's left over. So add the remainder of 4, and your answer would be 134. Number 4. Mike has 876 toy building pieces to share among himself and 2 friends. When it says himself and 2 friends, that means he has 2 friends and he is 1 person. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. He wants each person to have an equal number of pieces. How many pieces does each person get? Show your work. Well, 876 is a lot. Can I take 300 out of 876? Yeah, I can. So I'm going to make a chart here where I'm going to do 300 times 100, which is going to be 300. 300 times 3 times 200 is going to be 600. And 3 times 300 would be 900. So my answer is going to be between 200 and 600. So when I make my chart here, I'm going to start by doing 3 times 200. So 3 times 200 equals 600. So 876 minus 600 equals 672. 276. That's smaller than 100. So now I'm going to have to use something that's smaller than 100 for this next part, okay? Could I do it times 10? Yes, I could do it times 10.
Hallway 300 and 400 parent pickups. 300 and 400 parent pickups. You are now dismissed.
All right, excuse that there. We're starting to do dismissal at school. So I'm going to try doing it by 50. 3 times 5 is 150. So 276 minus 150, 6, 2, and 1. And now I got to do it smaller. What about 25? 3 times 25 is 75. Got 1, 12 minus 7 is 5, 51. Could I take 25 out of that? Yeah, I could do it. So I'm going to do... I'm sorry, 75. So I've got 51 left over here. So I can keep counting, and eventually you're going to find out that the answer is 292. So go ahead and finish solving this one and solve 5 and 6, and you need to complete session 4 before you watch the video, and I will see you back for that.